Hi, I'm Elizabeth, the sculptor behind Miniezshops DIY sculpting kits, and today I want to share a little bit more about them with you. While these DIY kits aren't a cheap product, I believe the experience that they offer and the values that they convey are worth the price. I think it's essential for businesses to be transparent, and I want to be completely honest and open with you about the costs and the standards behind these Miniezshops DIY sculpting kits. So there are three categories that I want to tell you about that impact the pricing. The first is the cost of the kits and all the materials that go into the kits and the labor of pricing them. The second is the standards that I have for the kits. And the third is the mission behind making these kits. So first, the cost of the kits. There's a little business equation that I want to share with you. It's the cost of goods or the materials times 2 is the wholesale price, times 2 is the retail price. The cost of goods is the materials cost. So I purchase all the materials like the clay, the boxes, etc. for the kits from wholesale suppliers at a wholesale price. The wholesale price is the cost that retailers purchase the products from creators at. And then for my wholesale price, I combine all those materials and the assembly costs together, times that by 2 is the price that I sell the kit to the retailers at. Those shops then multiply that price by 2. So the retail price is how much the end user or the person who wants to use the kits actually pays. So you may wonder why I don't sell my kits at wholesale price on my website. That's because all the retailers, if there was a lower price on my website, then they would want to sell it at that price. So I have to times it by 2 to keep it fair and to make sure that I actually have retailers that want to sell my stuff. Here's a note on the cost of the DIY sculpting kits right now. I currently have 3 price points. So there's a $45 kit, a $55 kit, and a $65 kit. If I were staying exactly true to this formula, the cost of goods times 2 is retail, then the kits would cost more around $50, $60, and $75. However, there's the concept of economies of scale, which means the more material that's purchased, the less each individual piece costs. So once I'm able to start ordering more materials, so the threshold for me is about 100 kits at a time, then I'll be following that business equation and it'll be more sustainable for my business. Let's move on to the second category, and that is the standards that I have for these DIY kits. There are 5 standards that I have. The first is to get the best materials as possible. The second is to try to source from as many companies in the US as possible. The third is to make sure that these companies are fair wage and livable wage. And the fourth is keeping a low environmental impact. The fifth is staying true to Miniezshops' mission of sharing the love of sculpting by giving back. So, number 1 is having the best materials. I spent so many hours searching for materials and I didn't keep track of how many hours it was, but it took a few months of searching and scouring and looking everywhere. So the clay is the most critical part of these kits. And Cosclay is the clay that is in the kits. It's my favorite clay, and it's the only clay I use for my personal projects. And I could have used Sculpey or Fimo or even some really cheap like clay that can't cure in the oven sort of thing. But I believe if people experience bad clay in the beginning, then that's more likely they're gonna give up and get frustrated. And I really don't want people to give up. I want these kits to build confidence. And I've used many brands of clay over the years, and Sculpting is an okay introductory clay, but I prefer Cosclay because Sculpting is brittle and it breaks frequently, and Cosclay I haven't had it break yet, and it's flexible. It's easy to mold and it warms up quickly. Plus, it's an American company. There are a few tools that I find essential for growing your sculpting capabilities, and I spent a lot of time searching for the right ones. There were like hundreds and hundreds of options. So I spent a couple weeks making sure that I have now my top choice for the introductory tools out of lots of options. Plus, they're like a soothing blue color, and I like blue. The boxes and the illustrated instructions are designed entirely by myself. I spent days refining the artwork and making sure the font was right and the words and making sure it was all easy to follow, and I got feedback and multiple iterations and that sort of thing. And I made sure they all had that happy, calming aesthetic also the video tutorials. I spent a lot of time sculpting and doing easy to follow video tutorials for people to follow along with. Then all the other materials that are in the kit, like the hardware, that sort of thing, those are all things that I use personally for my sculpting projects, so they're great. Number 2 is sourcing from as many American companies as possible. So starting with the clay is from a company called Cosclay. It's based in Ohio, I believe it is, and that was launched in 2019, and they're also just really nice people. The boxes, I designed them and then got them printed with a company called Packola. They're headquartered in California. The instructions and the sizing guide, I designed them and then I got them printed with Vistaprint, and they're headquartered in the Netherlands, and their US corporate office is in Massachusetts. And usually the printing facility that I get the instructions from is in California, I believe. So the baggies for the hardware pieces are from a company called Clear Bags, and they're based in Tennessee. It's a family-owned business. Those are all the companies I've been able to source with in the US so far. That leads us to number 3. If those companies aren't in the US, or even if they are, I've chosen ones that, to the best of my knowledge, have fair wages and working conditions. The materials I've sourced outside of the USA are the tools and the small hardware, because the fact of the matter is they weren't made in the US. Like, there aren't ones I could find that were made in the US of those sort of style of things. So here are those companies. For the tools, it's a company called Yiwu Tenyuan Painting Materials Co. They're based in Suzhou, China. And for the earrings, there's 2 companies that I'm choosing between. The first is Yiwu Lucky Jewelry Co. and the second is Yiwu Arian Trading Co. They're also based in Suzhou, China. The lobster clasps come from a company called Donghua Gomi Jewelry Co. and they're in Donghua, China. The eye pins come from a company called Yiwu Shangui Trading Company, and they're again in Suzhou. And the pin backers come from a company called Zhongshan Yiqiang Hardware Co. and they're based in Donghua, China. I tried to pronounce those as best as possible. I looked it up, but my apologies if I didn't pronounce them right. So the 4th standard is keeping a low environmental impact. So this is very important, and I'll tell you how each company I've sourced makes that a priority. First off, clear baggies that are the hardware is all in are industrially compostable. They're a member of the Sustainable Packing Coalition, and they are taking 6 different measures to help reduce their carbon footprint. So over the past 20 years, they've made a lot of eco-conscious steps, and you can read more about them. I'll have a link. And next we have the Packola boxes. Everything they print is recyclable. They use sustainably sourced inks, have a lower carbon footprint because they're shipping from the US, same with Clear Bags, and they have a plant a tree program. Next is the Vistaprint instructions. They're also recyclable and practice responsible forestry. They're committed to being carbon neutral by 2040, and you can read more about their sustainability measures. I'll link them all below. For the clay, they've gone through toxicology certifications and their testing standards are ethical. There's not too much information as far as the hardware and the tools go. A few of the companies have raw material sourceability, but as I learn more, I will keep you updated. And shipping wise, it's a lower carbon footprint because there's no middleman, so I'm ordering directly from the source. So there wouldn't be shipping to some warehouse in the US and then shipping to me. It just comes straight to me and then to you. So a disclaimer also is the tools and the clay are still packaged in plastic. That's the only option there is currently, and I hope to change that in the future, but I want to be honest with you about that where it is right now. Number 5 ties into the 3rd category, which is staying true to Miniezshops' mission of sharing the love of sculpting, and I'll share more on this later in a different post, but I've had several difficult experiences in my life that sculpting has really helped me healthily process. So I'll be donating 1% of the profit from these DIY kits. I have a few causes that I'm deliberating between, but I think it'll be something hospital themed because I spent most of my childhood in hospitals. And 1% may not sound like a lot, but it can really add up over time. And I wanted to start off this business with some sort of give back measure in place so that maybe in the future I can give more. but for the moment, that's what I can do. Lastly, recapping my third category, which is the mission behind DIY sculpting kits. The goal is to share the love of sculpting with people and help people find their happy place. So there are many stressors in life and opportunities for people to ignore them or to bottle them up, especially like digitally. Sculpting is a very healthy outlet, and you can create something very tangible, something you're in control of. And when you sculpt, you have the power to change like a blob into something beautiful. And if you can turn a blob into something beautiful, then just think of what else you can accomplish. So sculpting can reduce the stress, and it can build artistic confidence, which in turn can build confidence in life, and less internalized stress and more confidence. That seems like a better quality of life. That's why it's Miniezshops' goal to share the love of sculpting. By that, I mean for people to fall in love with the process of sculpting, to love what they make, and to share that experience or their creations with people they love. So thank you for watching. I hope you found this information helpful. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Of course, if you'd like a DIY kit, there's a link below for that. And it would mean so much to me if you could share this with the people you care about to help share the love of sculpting. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.